And I'd like to talk to you about 3 different kinds of coaching. And the reason I decided I wanted to plug it in at this spot is that this morning when you're practicing coaching, you might decide which of these kinds you would like to practice. Make sense? Lay a big picture out here, then go to the specifics and come back to the big picture. Here's the big picture. Once you get comfortable with coaching, I want to suggest that you begin to move away from thinking about coaching as an isolated activity. And instead, you begin to think about coaching as a tool you use to accomplish things that you want to do as a school. So that coaching is the way we do business. Meaning, all of our professional development has coaching built into it. Meaning, our mentor program for people new to the school has coaching built into it. Meaning, curriculum changes are done with coaching. So coaching becomes the tool through which we get things done rather than that isolated activity. Okay? So let's look at 3 different kinds of coaching. And Robert Garmston was the guy who stuck the titles on these. The first one is called technical coaching. And technical coaching is connected to staff development. Technical coaching comes closest to what would be athletic coaching or music and performing arts coaching. It's skills-based coaching, and it's feedback on a skill. So a summary of the research on learning a new teaching skill. So in order to add a skill to your repertoire as a teacher, here's what the research suggests you need. Knowledge about the skill, modeling of the skill, practice of the skill, observation with feedback, and ongoing coaching. Now, first of all, what do they mean by knowledge? Knowledge should answer 2 questions. It should answer the why question and the how-to question. So if I took a workshop on differentiated instruction, in that workshop I should learn why is differentiating instruction important. And that question is usually answered, the why question is usually answered by research. So the research studies showed that when teachers implemented these strategies, this is what happened. Then you need to see the skill modeled. And there's 2 kinds of modeling. You need to see the skill itself being modeled. Okay, this is how you do it. And you need to have the environment modeled. Most teaching strategies require a particular classroom environment. And if you take the strategy into the wrong environment, the strategy won't work. Okay? Cooperative learning groups require a particular classroom management style. So for teachers to learn new skills, they need to see the skills modeled and the environment modeled. Okay. Next, we need opportunities to practice the skill. Now, if I take this back to what we did yesterday, this was what we called yesterday consciously skilled. When I take that new skill into my classroom, I can only do it if I'm conscious about it. I've got to be thinking about each of the steps. When you're learning something new, you do it consciously. Here's what the research suggests. For a teacher to add a new skill to their repertoire, they need 20 to 30 practice sessions. Once I begin to implement these changes in my classroom, I need to be observed and get feedback. Okay? Now, if you go back to yesterday, I need two kinds of feedback. I need feedback on my behavior, and I need feedback on my student behavior. So, am I implementing the behavior I'm supposed to be implementing with this new technique and strategy? Am I asking the kinds of questions I'm supposed to be asking? Am I giving the feedback I'm supposed to be giving? Then, how are my students responding to it? Now, when that observation and feedback is ongoing, that's when it becomes coaching. So, if the only thing the teacher receives is knowledge, so if all I do is I went to the conference and I listened to a speaker for an hour and a half talk about it, if that's the only thing that happens, about 5 to 10% of the people understand it. And likely no one, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. 5% of the people implement it in their classroom at a level that has impact on student achievement. Is that just a little scary? Just for the administration, ponder this. The cost of sending a person to a conference to sit in some workshops and come back to the school. I got a 5% chance that they're going to come back and impact student learning. Now, if we're now going to add, okay, if they get the knowledge and the model, this doubles to about 20%. And this jumps to 5%. It doesn't change, just one second. It increases the understanding, but it doesn't increase the percentage of people who carry it off in their classroom with an impact. Okay? If you get knowledge, model, and practice, so now instead of a workshop, it's probably a course. Or it's a more than one day workshop. It sounds like a 2-day Steve Barkley workshop on coaching. Steve's going to give you the knowledge about coaching. He's going to break it down into the how-tos. He's going to do models for you. And he's going to create opportunities for you to practice. Yeah, wait till you catch this. Understanding jumps all the way to 60%. It still doesn't change the percentage of people who take it into their classroom and implement it as level as impact on student achievement. Here's the kicker. Add this. This jumps. If I take that new learning and I practice it in my classroom with someone watching what I'm doing and providing me with feedback, it jumps 75 to 90%. Right. What we described here is technical coaching. Technical coaching. So, if someone asks you to do technical coaching, they're looking for specific feedback. So the person would say to you, I'm implementing a strategy that causes kids to work harder, persevere, and struggle. The strategy requires, when kids ask me for help, that I more often than not ask them a question rather than tell them something. So I'd like you to come into my classroom, and every time a student is seeking help, just write down what my response is. Okay? That's technical feedback. Very specific feedback to assist the teacher who's focused on a specific behavior. So today, when we're doing our role plays, consider, is technical feedback what I'm looking for? Okay? Next one, collegial coaching. In collegial coaching, the focus is more on relationships than skill development. So with collegial coaching, the reason I'm coming to coach you and suggesting you come and coach me is we just want to build collegiality between us. What gets coached is less important than the fact that we're just getting to know each other better. Challenge coaching. Challenge coaching is when you build your coaching around solving a common problem or creating a unique opportunity. Solving a common problem or creating a unique or new opportunity. So in challenge coaching, I'm looking for a coaching partner who shares the problem I'm having. And we're going to observe in each other's classrooms looking to solve that problem. I want to add another skill to your repertoire before we go into the next practice. So, to this point, we've been talking about the questions, getting an agenda and a focus, then looking at the kind of coaching. When we get to the post-conference, there's two skills that we're going to focus on. One is giving approval, and the other is using positive phrasing. One of the components of the pre-conference, when I uncover the agenda, is I'm finding an area for approval. I often don't give the approval in the pre-conference. I give the approval in the post-conference. But knowing how to give approval in the post-conference is something that I discover in the pre. This next activity is designed to help you understand that. I would like to define approval now by doing some comparisons. And if my comparisons don't translate when we change the language to Spanish, then I'm going to need some Spanish language culture folks to help me out to put us on the same wavelength. When I do this example in some languages, it translates, in other languages it doesn't, so you need to tell me. In English, I'd like you to think of the words compliment, praise, and approval. And I'd like to relate those to the examples you were just discussing with each other. Now, first of all, how are these three things alike? They're all positive. So if you get a compliment, or you get praise, or you get approval, it's positive feedback of some kind. I'd like to suggest the differences. Compliments are when you get positive feedback for a possession or a trait. So you get a compliment for your tie, you get a compliment for your car, you get a compliment for your outfit, you get a compliment for your new glasses, you get a compliment for your hair. Okay? Those are compliments.